The Tuesday, June 28th, 2022 regular council meeting is called to order at 7:10 p.m. We're going to have a moment of silent meditation followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Madam Manager, I know that our clerk is out today, so I know you have to pull a double duty. Madam Manager, if you could please give me a roll call, please.
Absolutely. Good evening. Roll call for June 28th, 2022 regular council meeting. Councilperson Darian Martin.
Present.
Councilperson Anna Ward is absent today. Councilperson Louis Perella.
Here.
Vice Mayor Anders Urban.
Present.
Mayor Nickerson.
Here.
Mayor, you have a quorum. Also present for the record is Village Attorney Joseph Geller and myself, Village Manager Christia Alou. You have a quorum, Mayor.
Thank you very much, Madam Manager / Clerk. For the approval of the agenda, I'm going to, of course, take off E1. We'll do that next month because the clerk's not here. So I'm going to strike E1 and the clerk is the one that's kind of like wanted to bring the El Portal 85th anniversary ideas along with me. I don't know if I want to strike it or not. Let's do this. This is what we're going to do. Let's switch H2 and H1. Let's do the short-term rental first. Depending on how long that takes, I might ask you guys, we'll move later to move the El Portal 85th to next month if the short-term rental fee things takes a good amount of time. That's what we'll do. So the new H1 will be the short-term rental fee listing directory, and then the new H2 will be the El Portal 85th anniversary, and we'll keep that H2 later on depending on what happens with H1. Does anybody else have any changes, or can I get a motion to approve the agenda with those changes?
I move to approve the agenda with the changes.
Thank you very much. Moved by Vice Mayor Urban. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Councilperson Martin. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Hearing none, moving right along. So we're moving on to E, and we're moving down to E2, which is the Village of El Portal Community and Environment Award. Councilperson Martin, can you join me down here at the dais, please, at the podium? Thank you. So, myself and Councilperson Martin, we said, you know what? There are a few people in the village. This is what she said. I'm going to tell you the part I said. She said, there's a few people in the village that work hard but don't necessarily get recognized for the work they do. And they do good work in the village. Then I said, Councilperson / chairperson of Planning and Zoning, you're absolutely correct. There are some individuals, and we should recognize those individuals. So there are a few individuals, and we're going to call them up at the same time. And these individuals, they not only do things like they look at code enforcement, they make sure that the homes are looking good. They do things behind the scenes to try to improve the way our village is, the way our village looks on a daily basis. And so they try to improve the environment of our community. And Manager Alou, if you would please come up. Vice Mayor Urban, if you would please come up. Councilperson Perella, if you would please come up.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. That was so thoughtful. Thank you.
Oh, this is gorgeous. Oh, how nice. I think, yeah, speech. Are beautiful.
Speech, yeah.
I
You guys, speech, yes. Say something real quick. It has the earth on top because the environment, the earth, they help protect it. They help us clean it up. Myself and Councilperson Martin, we're always trying to do the right thing as far as like, for the community. And these three individuals are always the best teammates with us to try to help and clean things up. So
There's a lot of work that goes into making this community what it is, and it's tireless and it's thankless. So hopefully today you guys feel thanked. We see you and we appreciate all that you do.
thank you.
Well, thank you guys. I really have no words. It's just, we moved into the village like 8 years ago. We actually fell in love with the area many years ago. And, this was our first home. And just so proud to live here in the village. And that's all I want, to keep the village, to keep feeling like it's a family affair, like every neighbor. I mean, I've lived here in many, many other cities, and I've never felt the way I feel here in El Portal, where you have neighbors to talk to and, and help each other. It's, coming here to work pretty much at the village hall for my municipality, it's great. It's been a blessing, and thank you all. I really got the support from the manager, from the lawyer, from everybody here in the village, the police. We have a great chief right there. And the whole council. Thank you very much. Thank you guys. Thanks to all the residents. The mayor.
I don't even know what to say. Thank you. My goodness. I don't know. I've lived in Miami 20 years and lived in different neighborhoods as well. And when we moved in here in 2013, I was pleasantly surprised to find that it was a neighborhood full of people who knew each other and like talked to their neighbors. So within the first 2 weeks of being here, I think I knew everybody on my block almost. And after the previous however many decade and more of living around different parts of Miami-Dade County, it was amazing, absolutely amazing. So so that I suppose makes it easier to care. So there you go. But definitely care about this village, and it's the best spot in Miami-Dade County in my opinion. So thank you guys.
I'm just going to hold it up. I thank you, Councilperson Martin and Mayor Nickerson. Thank you so much. It's wonderful to be recognized. And I've been in El Portal as the city manager since 2017. And, the environment has changed. We talk about making it a good environment to live and work in, and we certainly done that with the support of this council, this mayor, this vice mayor, and the council persons who really do care. They're not just residents. They really do care and are holding the charge for the residents here in El Portal. And that gives me inspiration to also ensure that it's a good place to live, but also a great place to work. So thank you all for the recognition.
Mayor, I have Dr. Ward on the phone. She has a possible COVID diagnosis, so why she's not coming, she doesn't think so, but she's waiting. She was asking if there was some way that she could get hooked in. Do we have a Zoom or something? No. Could we put her on the phone or something? I got her here, or I could tell her to call you. If you call the mayor, he'll try and put you on, because I know she's expressing concern about some of the items tonight, so she'd like to, if you could, call the mayor and he'll try and put you, on speakerphone. No, but he's turning it on now. He was in the meeting, so he didn't have it turned on. But he knows you're calling, so he'll turn it on. Okay, thank you, Doctor. Councilperson Doctor.
Thank you, guys. Moving on to good and welfare. Is there anybody has anything to say about this particular agenda? You can come up, say your name, address for the record, and the floor is yours.
Good evening. My name is Pascal Dupoul. I live at 177 Northwest 90th Street. Something that has nothing to do with STRs. I think we have a thing on an agenda about tree trimming in the right-of-ways. Yes? No? Okay, thank you. Just one quick question on that. When we pick vendors to do things like that, do we ask them to give village, like people that live in the village, a discount for the same service? Like if we call them up and say, hey, you know, you guys are coming through the streets anyway to do all the right-of-ways. If I need a tree trimmed, is there a possibility that we ask them that, or is that something that's not kosher or not okay to do?
Yeah, that's the first time I've heard that request, but I can understand the concern. Or, you know, I'm also considering doing another request for proposals for next year. So perhaps that's something we can ask about if they don't say yes this time, maybe in future. Okay. Well, I'll have to talk to them, but okay.
All right. Madam Manager, I suppose for the record that Councilperson Lightfoot Ward is present. We've never, this is the thing, in El Portal, we've never done this. Like we've never done where a councilperson can be present through telephone. Like we've never done that. And I have no problem with it necessarily, but I'm just worried about it because if that's the case, then I just think that it might not be this council, but I just think in the future we're opening up a precedent where people would just be staying home. Like, what's to say that one person doesn't show up and 4 people just say, well, I'll just do it from home, through the phone. Attorney Geller?
There is some law on this, and in some cities or municipalities, something has been adopted by the council. Now, you can never count towards a quorum if you're not physically present under the law as it is today. So under the law now, absent, you know, I mean, I guess you could construct some complete emergency situation that would be different. But basically the law says that a physical majority must be present at the physical location. So you could never have a circumstance where people just decide that they're not going to come. Now, if you have a physical majority present, in our case you'd need 3 physically here, you can permit people to participate other than by being physically present. The basic requirement, if you adopt some kind of an ordinance to that effect, the basic requirement would be that they're able to be heard and to hear. So you can't have somebody just on the phone with one member, whether it's a council member, if it was the clerk or me or the manager, that's like relaying the news and saying, oh, well, this is what councilperson so-and-so said, and they're the only one who can hear it. They have to be able to be heard, and they have to hear the discussion to be able to cast their vote. Zoom accomplishes that, but arguably a working speakerphone accomplishes the same thing as long as the public can hear the member and the member can hear the public. Whether or not it should or ought to be permissible is a council decision. If the council has concerns about it, you can take it to a council vote. And as I said, if there is an interest in allowing that for the future going forward, we certainly can prepare an ordinance that sets out the checks and balances of it. Some municipalities locally have that, and obviously since COVID and COVID concerns, there's been a lot more of it than there used to be. So those are the basic legal parameters for it.
Oh, this legal sounds good to me. Moving on, is there anybody else for good and welfare? We're good? Moving on to the consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda or any questions?
So moved.
Move. Hello?
Just for the record, I want to remind you, there are a couple of technical corrections that were done on some of the election resolutions that really changed much.
Yeah,
There is some technical changes, and I know you've got copies available if anybody wants to see it.
absolutely.
Should've
Councilperson
said
Light.
that into the mic, I'm sorry. Copies are available through the mayor, some technical corrections on the election resolutions, both of them.
In and out.
Councilperson Lightfoot Ward, do you have something you want to say?
No, you asked for a motion and I made it.
All right, motion moved by Councilperson Martin, second by Councilperson Lightfoot Ward. The attorney said it was okay.
Technically, either there should be an ordinance passed or the council can vote to approve it.
All right, well, we currently don't have an ordinance that states that yet, though.
That's correct, or the council can vote, it's at the discretion of the council, is what I'm telling you.
But we already, this is the problem. We've already approved the agenda. And so at this point, we can't add an agenda item.
It's the discretion of the council if you wish to do that, Mayor.
All right, but if the agenda's already been approved, can we?
It's not a main motion, it's a subsidiary motion, so it's within your authority. The council is the judge of the, characteristics, and the council defines the rules. There are rules that are adopted by council unless there are matters that are contained in law, and this is permitted in law if it's approved by the council.
So is your suggestion that we have a vote right now to see if council members can attend through phone?
Well, first of all, I don't suggest, I'm telling you that it's your discretion to do so. It's up to the council. Secondly, you would not be adopting something for the future. You would be dealing with a one-time circumstance, being the one that's presented in front of you tonight. It's
So-
your discretion.
So then in the future, if anybody wants to do this from home, then we do a one-time vote again?
It would be better to have a policy put in place that would apply across the board, such as an ordinance. However, it is the discretion of the council to approve it within the legal parameters I specified, such as, the fact that you're able to hear, and the public is able to hear, and the member is able to hear the public. Absent that, I would say you would not have discretion to approve it. You're not required to. That's why I say I don't make a suggestion. I'm simply telling you what you can do and what you cannot do.
In order to take this impromptu vote, do I need to say anything special, or do I just ask for a motion and say what the motion could be about, and if the council wants to vote, and we vote either way?
That's correct, the latter. You just asked for it.
Do I have a motion to approve for Councilperson Lightfoot Ward being able to attend the meeting through telephone tonight, officially? Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Councilperson Martin. Do I have a second? Do I have a second?
I'll second it if I can.
No, hold on, Councilperson Lightfoot Ward, because you're not officially a part of it yet. Let's take this vote
Councilperson
first.
She cannot move to be the second.
You have a second? I'm going to ask one more time for a second. If I don't get a second, then the motion will die for lack of a second. Do I have a second for Councilperson Lightfoot Ward attending the meeting through telephone tonight?
Because of COVID-19.
Mr. Mayor, can I? So I think what this does do is illuminate the fact that we need a policy stating clearly that we either can't appear telephonically, or outlining the parameters within which it would work. 'Cause I understand that what Councilman Lightfoot Ward is doing is in an abundance of caution, and she still wants to participate and execute the task at hand. So I do empathize with her, and it's obvious that she might not be able to do that tonight. And I want to reassure her that, you know, we definitely will be thinking about her perspective as well when we make these decisions tonight. But what I do think is the next agenda should have an item dealing explicitly with telephonic appearances by council members.
And if the motion is failed, I have a motion.
Yeah, if there's no second, I'm gonna ask one more time. There was no second for that motion?
No.
No. Okay, so that motion failed. Hold on one second, Councilperson Lightfoot Ward. Vice Mayor Urban has something to say.
I move to allow commentary from Councilperson Lightfoot Ward, with the exception of not allowing
Motions
a
or votes?
vote.
Motions or votes?
Motions or votes, yes.
Councilperson Lightfoot Ward, Vice Mayor Urban made a motion that says that he would allow commentary, but no motions or votes. Is that something that's feasible for you tonight?
Well, let me do this. Let me make it easy for everybody. I'm here. I'm out because I've been diagnosed with COVID-19. Okay, that's the end of that. Now, if my physical presence is needed, then somebody better show it to me in writing somewhere. Because if I'd have shown up tonight, then I think that would have been very irresponsible on my part. But I didn't, and I gave this message out to you and Yasani this past weekend. So it ain't like I just became. I found this out on Friday, and I sent an email on Friday. So it's not like I wasn't prepared, but it's just my commitment to be present, if at all possible, at meetings. Thank you, Councilman Mars, for the motion. Thank you, Council Vice Mayor, for your input. Thank you, Mayor. Not feeling good about this. No commentary, no nothing, but that's just the way my responsibility to the people that wanted to see me on council knows that my integrity is not shot. My integrity stays with me. If I am out of order, I apologize, and I bid everyone good night.
Well, let me just say, just for clarification, thank you very much, Councilperson Lightfoot Ward. Councilperson Lightfoot Ward called me last week and said she wouldn't be able to attend the meeting because she said that she was doing something medical, and after she did that medical situation, that she would have to, she said usually when she gets that done, she has to be out after that a few days. Then she emailed myself and the clerk on Friday and said, is there any way that, that I can attend through Zoom, the hybrid thing that we used to do? And I said, well, I told the clerk, Jacoby, we were here fixing up everything for the meeting. I said, well, we don't do that anymore. We got rid of that, I think, back in March or something like that. And that was that. And then she called Attorney Geller tonight, and this is how we got here. And so that's the timeline of everything. Councilperson Lightfoot Ward, are you going to stay around for commentary, or are you going to depart from us now?
I can stay around for commentary, but please show that I was present. I'm not one to scorn my responsibility, but I also have to rest of everybody concerned as opposed to just mine. So I'll stay on the line to hear whatever's going on. I understand that nobody wants me to talk about anything. While I did have concerns, but it's understandable. If I was deathly ill, I'm sure you all would have taken care of everything that needs to be taken care of properly. I appreciate you. I will remain on the line, make no comment to it.
Councilperson Lightfoot Ward, you're still a resident. I'll allow you comment if you want to comment. That's no problem. All right?
All right, my dear. I appreciate that.
No problem. All right, so do I have a motion? Motion was moved by Councilperson Martin. I need a second, a different person for a second for the motion for the consent agenda.
Yeah, I'll second for the consent agenda.
Got a motion, got a second for the consent agenda. Madam Manager / Clerk, can I please get a roll call on the consent agenda, please?
Yes, okay. Councilperson Martin,
Yes.
Councilperson Perella, Vice Mayor Andersherbam,
Yes.
and Mayor Nickerson.
Yes.
Okay, the consent agenda is moved forward 4-0.
Thank you very much. And if anybody follows the Village of El Portal on Instagram, as I always say, everything that consent agenda, Madam Manager, was not taxpayer dollars.
Right.
We're getting out unprecedented funding coming to El Portal. The next thing, you guys, is the agenda item. We're going to agenda H1, the new H1, diving right into it, short-term rental fee list and directory. Okay, so we're talking about the fees for the short-term rental. I have in front of me, I have different fees from Miami Beach, Miami Beach says, I see their violations for their offenses. I see these are all violations. I have West Miami. We went big and small so that we can find a good middle ground. But I think the fees that the residents are more concerned with are the general fees, the fees for the sign up, the fees for the registration. Licensing fee for West Miami is $2,000. It says here that inspection of a vacation rental to verify compliance with the Florida Building Code and the Florida Fire and Life Safety Codes, which govern at the time of completion of the subject construction, shall be required subsequent to the initial registration of the vacation rental and quarterly after the renewal with a payment of $250 quarterly for the inspection. They also have re-inspection fees of $250 to cover the inspection. I'm not really concerned about, and their violation, their fines and violations are $250 also. They don't go up into the thousands like Miami Beach does. Miami Beach's fines for violations were violations for Miami Beach. The first offense was $1,000. Second offense is $2,000. Third offense is $3,000, and fourth offense is $5,000. And after that, they say review of your license to see if you keep your license or not after the fourth offense. I have Cutler Bay. Cutler Bay. So their new application fee, Cutler Bay's, is $250. Their annual renewal fee is $110. Yes, Councilperson Martin.
So sorry about this.
Of course.
I just received all these papers like 2 seconds before we were starting. So, pardon me, but can we organize it in a different way? Just because all the numbers are, I just want to keep track of apples and apples and oranges and oranges. We're trying to determine what the application fee is for new applications. In addition to that, the annual renewal fee. And then what other amounts are we looking at? Those violations, the fines for the violations, are we doing that as well?
The fines for violations, I believe most of those, we talked about violations were in the original ordinance.
Okay, so what we're looking at is just
the fees, yeah.
new application fee and annual renewal fee. And from what I've been able to just kind of pull up, and let me know if I'm correct, because you said West Miami, you mentioned an amount like $2,000, but it's $250.
$250.
Okay. And Cutler Bay is $250.
And then the
as
annual is $110.
well. $110. So we're only looking for 2 numbers tonight.
Well, yes, which is the application fee, if I may. Application fees, right? And so the municipalities, they have them like where they have the first.
No, I
the
get it, for
registration
sure.
application,
I get it.
And then the renewals.
I
right?
get
and
it.
it goes from here, it goes from $150 to probably $2,000. So it all depends on the municipality.
I
what is
definitely
it, yes.
get it. My question was, what are we trying to determine? Because I heard a lot of
Right.
2000s and
Right.
one. So we're looking for two numbers. One is how much do you pay if you are a first-time applicant for this short-term rental
And the renewal thereafter.
certificate, and then the annual renewal amount. And then the numbers that we've received from West Miami, Cutler Bay, Biscayne Park, that's all, those two numbers are the only
Yeah.
thing we're considering
Yeah.
tonight.
The
Okay.
250, and then about 100 to renew. If you look at North Bay Village, their fee first time is 800, and their renewal is 500, with a $25 administration non-refundable.
If I may,
Yes.
I think my inclination is definitely to fall on the lower
The
end
lower
of this.
200.
I know Miami Shores has a $750 application fee. Our goal in this, I don't think, is to make money. It's just so that we can accurately track and assure compliance of those who are operating short-term rentals. So my
Absolutely.
inclination would be to mirror more the Cutler Bays and West Miamis and kind of stick to that amount, which I think 250 as an initial application fee and like 110 as a renewal fee. I think that sounds, in my mind, I think that is a palatable cost of business. I know that some people in the audience will let me know whether or not it is, but I would want to fall on the lower end of that scale.
Absolutely, Councilperson Martin, I'm with you 100%. The only reason why I'm reading these into the record is because, usually when we do things like this, I get calls from the residents and they'll say, what is Miami Shores doing? Or what is so-and-so? They usually try to see our neighbors, what they're doing, and then they'll ask for some others. Like, well, who else did you look at? You know what I mean? So I try to, we try to, Manager Lou, we try to, get large places, get small places, and of course we got our neighbors. So like you said, Councilperson Martin, Miami Shores is $750 for the initial and $500 for the year for the renewal.
I thought it was 1,500 for initial.
Miami Shores is $750 for the initial,
500? Okay.
and $500 for the renewal.
If I may.
Yes.
So I definitely agree with Councilperson Martin that, as we originally discussed the fees, I believe we all kind of agreed that the goal was not to have it be punitive, right? Certainly not as far as an application fee goes. And then the fee structure in general, the larger the entity, so an actual corporation versus, someone with a sole proprietorship LLC, for example, the higher fees can be absorbed by larger entities. So I think that the logic would follow that if we had higher application fees, we would be creating an environment of exclusion that would benefit only larger entities. So I definitely agree with Councilperson Martin and think that the fee really should be just evidence that the person is serious about participating above board in this activity. And so I don't find an exorbitant fee to be necessary at all.
Residents, we'll open it to the residents right now. Come up, say your name and address for the record. Floor is yours.
Good evening, Pascal DePoule, 177 Northwest 90th Street. I know we've been talking about this for the last couple of months, but we're doing the same thing again that I had a problem with when we did the original ordinance. We're looking at what our neighbors are doing instead of why we're doing fees and how much things cost us. And instead of starting and saying, hey, we can go to fill in the blank and here's a fee, what I'd love to see is, like you were saying, the reason we want to have a fee is to see that somebody's serious, to cover the cost of administering the regulation in terms of making sure that when I submit documentation that it's all correct, that we're not putting extra strain on the village money. I get all that. But let's not start with what everybody else is doing. Let's build this from the ground up instead of from the top down. We did that with the ordinance. I think that's a mistake to do it that way. I'd much rather I would have started the opposite way. I don't like this ordinance as it is right now. It's as good as we can get it, but I think we could have done a much better job if we would have started and said, here's our problem, here's our solution, how can we craft this and have a very simple ordinance. I'd love to do the same with fees. What I'd love to propose, though, is to have two separate fees. One of the reasons when we were in committee with this, the reason was to say there's the problems that we want to address with Airbnbs. And one of those was that a company comes in, buys a house, runs an STR, and really doesn't care and can afford to pay a lot of money if something happens. So what I'd love to propose is two fee structures, one for residents in the village. If I live in El Portal, I pay one thing, and one if I don't. If I'm an owner, that's great. You know, we have a lot of people here that we've spoken with over the last couple months that either rent parts of their place out or rent places out that they own in the village, but they live here. We're concerned about how our Airbnbs, our short-term rentals look in the village. We want to make sure that it increases the village. When you guys were talking about with the awards, you know, how much you feel like a community, that's how we feel too. So I have a vested interest in El Portal. I have a vested interest in my Airbnb, my short-term rental looking good, not being a problem, not having an issue, having guests that respect us and that enjoy our village. What I would also love to avoid is to see, we get letters once every 2-3 weeks of companies that are offering to manage our short-term rentals for us. They won't care. They'll come in here, if you slap a $1,000 fine on them, they'll be like, okay, fine, you know, I have 1,500 units, there's a $1,000 fine on one of them, it's pocket change to them. So I'd love to see a discussion more about, hey, it costs us $50 to make sure or whatever the number is, to make sure that when Pascal comes in and submits the documents to ensure compliance, who comes out to check the things that are required for this with the diagrams on the wall or all the things at the house, how much does that cost? Versus going, oh, we're gonna do $250, that sounds about right. If that costs you more, let's pay more. If it costs you less, let's pay less. If you want a higher fee, make a higher fee to people that don't reside in the village.
I see the thought behind that, but there's a couple things. I just think it's really tough for us to quantify exactly how much it's going to cost when you actually get into it, right? We could have an Airbnb owner that's super compliant. We never have to send the police out, never have to interact with that property. And that's gonna cost less as far as elements necessary to administer this program than another Airbnb that is like a repeat offender. We have to send somebody out. We have to send the police out. So we don't know. What we can do possibly, I don't know if the council or the manager or the attorney will let me know, is determine how we use these fees that we're charging, right? So when we get the pot, if there is an overage, do we have a specific way that we want to use that? But I don't think in the front end, we can say, hey, it's gonna cost X, Y, and Z to stamp this paper and administer the program, because there's just so many elements to it.
But if you're having issues with the Airbnb, with problems, you have a fee structure here. That's
Okay, excuse me, let me clarify something if I may. Because I've been on top of this for a long time already. And I've spoken to some companies that actually manage their Airbnb or the short-term rental aspect of the municipalities. It's been over a year. And we were talking roughly about $500. Why? Because that's what it takes for them to actually go into the logistics and manage everything for the municipality. We don't have the infrastructure, first of all, to do that. Sometimes we don't have a court enforcement because they are on vacation or they're sick or they just quit. So for us, it's difficult to like just have a charge and saying, well, it costs $50 or $150 to dispatch a police officer, for example. I don't know. To go and check your unit because it's something, the signage or whatever you're saying, it's wrong with some other Airbnbs or short-term rentals. So that is, we cannot take into that, and you're gonna have a lot of other people that is not as honest as you probably, like you just said, you get investors, and trust me, I wanted it to have that where, the investors are actually paying more than the residents are actually renting, doing the home sharing, not just having pretty much a hotel or renting the whole house.
Yeah, but I
as
don't
it
think,
is.
but we
And
can't do that.
You cannot,
You can't discriminate like that.
like that.
Technically,
So
they're all
unfortunately,
owners.
we cannot have a fee for residents and a fee for investors, for that reason. That's by our lawyer.
So there's two things. It's
there's-
hard to quantify on the front end exactly how much this is going to cost us operationally. And then the second part is, although you do want that structure where you could treat an El Portal based owner differently, legally we just can't. So that's the reason why we think 250 is on the very low end of like what this is going to actually cost in administering.
But that wouldn't actually.
Yeah, we won't know
we
until
won't-
we're in it.
It won't actually give us the opportunity to then hire these company that actually takes care of all the situations that are, and you're gonna have people that's not gonna register their Airbnb, they're gonna still be operating as in many other platforms, not just Airbnb. And for us, like I said, we don't have the infrastructure and we don't have any person dedicated to find who is renting for what period of time, or who's saying that's renting for a year or 6 months and not just short-term rental. So it's hard.
We're talking about the application fee right now, right?
Right, yes,
And
that's-
not any kind of enforcement, because that's in the
No,
fines.
no,
So,
right.
that's my question. What's the application fee getting spent on? Is it just what it costs to make sure that all my paperwork's in order when I come and drop it off at the village, to go on the website from Florida State and say, yes, this number that he provided is actually the active license for the Professional Department of Regulations? Or is it, we're running a whole program of enforcement and education on top of all that as well?
Exactly. It's more about the program, enforcing, making sure that everybody's complying with short-term rentals.
So
And-
how,
And like I said, we don't have a dedicated code enforcement for that. We don't have, because we don't have the infrastructure. When you talk about the fees from these municipalities, these are large municipalities. They have their own, like Miami Beach, they have their own department, just to catch those that are violating the charter or the ordinance. And so they have the money to do all of that. We don't. The only way we can actually do it, making sure to protect the integrity of the people that's like operating from their own house, like sharing a room or two, it's by doing that, having somebody that's actually gonna catch the rest of the other ones that are not in comply.
so then we, as the people that are legally going and doing it right, are gonna pay for the enforcement against the people that are not doing it right?
Not necessarily. It's just, it's the only way we have to run the program with short-term rentals. If the manager has something to say about what it is to,
I would like to just say that it is also the person that's got to do the filing and ensuring that you are business, all of those things. That's a part of it as well. We don't have staff for that. So we know that we're gonna either have to have a part-timer or add that to a service of another employee that, didn't have that responsibility before. But there's a cost with all of that. So I don't know the exact amount, but do know that we don't have like a short-term rental department. We only have one code enforcement officer who is already overworked with just code enforcement. So imagine adding short-term rental, which is gonna be, So we may have to bring in a service that will have to supplement us in some way. So I'm sure a lot of that will just be for us to run the program. And then enforcement is gonna be, we'll figure that out too.
That's why I've been arguing against this the whole time, so, but, all right.
All right.
Can we at least get some transparency then on how the money gets spent? So that there's a place that we can see and say, okay, there's 100 STRs, there were $250, so it's 25 grand that got put in, and at the end of the year to break it down and said, here much went to education, here much went to filing and things like that?
We can do that because even for our building stuff, it goes right back to the building, department.
Yeah,
So
we
even for
certainly
like our
could do
building permits, it goes right back to the building department, so. Yeah,
Right.
we can do that.
Yeah.
We can definitely do that. All right, so I'm going to ask anybody else who wants to come up and say anything that they want to say. But right now, where we're at, you guys, council started thinking about this. Where we're at, we're thinking about first time, and then we're thinking about renewal. And kind of right now, where we're at for the first time, we're kind of looking around like the 250 for renewal. We're kind of looking around the 100. He also brought up another question that I think that has already kind of been answered by Councilperson Perella, and that is, should we have two separate fees for non-residents and residents floor is
Hi,
yours.
Scott Russell, 199 Northwest 90th Street. I agree 100% with what Pasquale is saying on the two separate fees for residents and non-residents. I also agree with the vice mayor on the cost. We've got Airbnbs in Miami, and we pay a $50 registration fee and $170 a year. So I'm curious why Miami or North Miami was not part of your collective pool, and I would think you would have broadband more than picking 4, including South Beach, which Airbnbs are not allowed. So maybe open up your dialogue more, and I agree totally. I think 250 is reasonable. I think it's a little excessive for what you're going to be doing and how you're monitoring. Yes, you will have to add people on, and it's going to be more than you think it will be. My 2 cents.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor?
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, I've advised the council previously, I think having a different rate structure for people who are residents and non-residents
Okay.
is likely to get us sued. It's discriminatory.
Okay. So we're looking at 1 fee then. Yes.
Hi, my name is Nuno Felisberto, and I'm representing the owner for 190 Northeast 90th Street. And I run a management company, so I am one of those people. But we are very responsible in doing that, and I do that across many cities. And what they do is they base their fees based on what they do. A lot of cities, like Hollywood, for instance, has their application fee, and then they have an inspection fee. So I think, going back to you, Pascal's point, is that we need to understand what the process is going to be. You know, what are you going to be doing to enforce or inspect or, check the paperwork? What is the process going to be? And then align the fees accordingly. And in terms of different pricing for residents and non-residents, Hollywood, for example, they ask if the owner is going to live on site. And if they do, they ask, is the home homesteaded? And then they provide the same discount that is available for homesteading versus not homesteaded. So if someone's not living inside on the property, then they get charged a certain fee. If they are living on the property and it's homesteaded, then they get charged a different fee. So that's just.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Say your name and address for the record. The floor is yours.
Good evening. Heido Rivero, 225 Northeast 86th Street. I saw it on the agenda. I haven't seen what you guys are working on. I've never heard about this work plan or work group that you guys are working on. It is so confusing with what you're trying to do after 5 years of trying to get something in the books. I understand the state had put a freeze on whatever you were working on, but I haven't seen any of your work. Now, just saw all these emails that came to the manager with the fees and so forth. It is so confusing to see 5, 6 emails with different rates. Why don't we get transparency and get an Excel sheet or something that identifies all the rates? I don't agree with $1,000 fees, but, and I understand that people would say it's discrimination if you're gonna charge something for the resident owner versus a non-resident owner. But get a worksheet together, get a work group together. Let's all iron this out before we all come in here and sit here and waste our times. This needs to happen. This needs to happen because it's been 5 years, and Perella, mayor, vice mayor, okay? The house behind me is back on Airbnb. The noise started last weekend. So something needs to happen, and you need to make it happen fast and get the structure in transparency done in front of all of us. Do a work group. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any way, so I know that we pushed this out a while before this ordinance actually goes into effect. Is there a way that we can pump the brakes on this and then come up with, I agree, a spreadsheet just kind of listing the rates in other cities would be great. I'm interested in what the commenter said about Hollywood. I would love to just have a moment to speak with someone there as far as like what their rationale is behind bifurcating it like that. And then also it would give the manager a minute the thing is, we don't have what Hollywood has. So they probably already have systems ready to go, and they know exactly how much this is going to cost them. The manager probably needs a minute to determine what type of staffing changes, what type of staffing changes we would need in order to administer effectively this program. And I don't think any one of us up here has any sort of issue with everyone knowing where the money is going and how we are planning to implement this program. We probably need to pump the brakes a little bit, because I understand how it could be confusing, because these documents, for sure, I can understand how it could be a little overwhelming. So I think, what does everyone else think about that? Because I think we should probably make a motion to hold off on this.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, and again, I'm sorry, and again, Hollywood, they even have devices in the streets to detect noises
Of
and
course.
everything.
They're-
So
they're
they have
prepared.
the power, they have the sources. We don't. Our budget is less than $3 million, guys. So we have to contract a company that come and actually help us to structure the short-term rental situation and help us with that. And they'll do the paperwork, and they'll do everything. They collect the fees, they'll do everything, but there's a charge to that. And so by us charging, we have to cover whatever, at least whatever it is for us to, because it's not only to administer that part of the short-term rentals, but also to monitor it and catch whoever is doing the rentals without being registered.
If we're going with a company, I agree with you, it might cost even more than that. However, if we are innovative in the way we approach it, maybe the manager can figure out a way to come up with something that's a bit more economical, that maybe can function within this $250 fee. But although we are smaller than Hollywood, I do hear what everyone's saying was, I just want to see how the sausage was made, which I don't think is too much to ask. And I think that is a reasonable thing for us to kind of pause a little bit. Attorney Geller, I think, has something, Mr. Mayor?
Oh, I was,
Mayor, the council person is asking a question. So the answer is, first of all, the council has discretion about these things. I mean, again, unless the law prohibits it, it's up to your good judgment. The only slight complication, and I don't think it's a real complication, we do have an ordinance that we said would go into effect July 1. Having said that, if I remember correctly, I'm not looking at it, but I think it was July. Having said that, the ordinance also says that there will be a fee schedule adopted, and if you don't adopt one tonight, then the ordinance really cannot be enforced until you adopt one. That said, if the discretion of the council, if the will of the council is to get more information to be able to properly structure this, if, for instance, you want the manager to bring a specific recommendation as to how it would be done outside company or whatever, then a motion to defer this till whenever your next meeting is would certainly be in order. And in fact, again, you could not enforce the ordinance until you adopt the fee schedule, at least for initial application. I mean, you could theoretically put off renewal because nobody's renewing yet because it's a brand new ordinance. But certainly, until you have a fee schedule for initial application, you're not enforcing the ordinance, and therefore, if you decide you want further information and a little more time to think about it, and a full council present for that matter, it's certainly within the discretion of council. I'm not suggesting you have to,
No.
but to answer your question, yes, you can. And then finally, on transparency, just a quick note, every dollar the village spends is a public record. Every check, every allocation, you have to have an appropriation for it. Everything is a public record, so it is all transparent.
For sure. I appreciate that feedback, Attorney Geller. I understand that it is a public record, but I also understand you guys don't want to go digging around to figure it out. And there's a way that it can be presented to you where you can feel confident that this is a good thing. We believe that this is an absolutely great ordinance, and it is going to preserve the integrity of our village and make sure that those who want to quietly enjoy it can enjoy it, but also those who are running this business can do it successfully. It is a great ordinance, and I don't want the process marred by a rushed fee structure, or one that feels like it is not as transparent as it could possibly be. So with that being said, I would move to defer, to table this item until the next meeting, but I also would love to host a roundtable where we can meet and discuss it. And I'll figure out how to get that information out to you guys so that we can workshop it in a way that feels a little bit more comfortable, and maybe we'll give you a resolution earlier than, or at least an indication of where we're going, earlier than that council meeting.
Technically, that's a workshop meeting.
A workshop.
Well,
Okay.
calling it a roundtable is certainly perfectly.
I like round things, but it's a workshop. Okay.
Yeah, we'll do a workshop town hall.
Yeah, so that's the motion.
Madam Chair. Yes, okay, so before we do that, and I know the motion's there, and I'm gonna ask for a second for your motion, and we're gonna vote on your motion. I just have a couple questions. Before Attorney Geller spoke, I wrote in my notes for July, we need to do a resolution to sunset the implementation of the ordinance, but you were saying that because the fee is part of the ordinance, if there's no fee, then that nullifies the ordinance from going into being live.
Much as I hate the word nullification, let's just say you cannot enforce what you have not adopted, and you can't really do a resolution about an ordinance anyway. You'd have to amend the ordinance, which you can't do. But as you stated it, Mayor, bearing in mind that one word, you cannot enforce an ordinance that you haven't set the parameters for. And since the ordinance says you have to adopt it by resolution, if you move to put off adopting the fee schedule by resolution till your next meeting, the ordinance it's on the books, but it cannot be enforced until you've adopted that fee schedule.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. I don't want, I just don't want the ordinance to go into play and, our residents, be punished in any way when, I just wanted to be clear, that's all. All right?
You're correct.
Okay. I said, I'm just going to ask for a second for a motion. Before that, go ahead, Vice Mayor Earl.
I have a question for the attorney, and then a comment, if I may. Supposing we set an arbitrary fee tonight, let's say $10. As you said, the renewal fee doesn't really affect anything technically, so we could say the renewal fee is $5. If we set that this evening, and then we're able to discern where more appropriately the fee should lie by the July meeting, other than potential confusion, is there any legal ramification to doing something like that?
Yes, sir. That would be that every person in the village who's going to do that would immediately come in and apply at the lower fee. And once they've applied, you can't tell them, oh, sorry, now you owe extra money. So if you did do that, everybody could come in, take advantage of the $10 fee, and then you couldn't charge them anymore.
Okay, so in light of that information, I believe that the people that would be coming in to register for the outrageously bargain price of $10 might well deserve such a reward for having gone through this arduous process with us and being privy to this information by essentially being present at this meeting tonight, and possibly have word spread like wildfire through the village and get even more participants in that initial sign up. In that case, I would possibly suggest that the renewal fee of not be $5, but perhaps be something a little bit closer to, say, $100, right? Application fee of $10, renewal fee of $100. Now you're okay at least a little bit, still offering a discount the following year. And then by July, establish what the true fee should be. But all of this essentially, I'm hoping, would be able to accomplish making the ordinance that we work so hard on enforceable. So that's the point of my question, and I don't mind an initial excitement from residents to register and properly identify themselves as operating a short-term rental. I think that would be a significant benefit to having a 30-day period of having the fee as low as $10. So I think I've gone to my 3 minutes.
Thank you. I do have a motion on the table to table until the July meeting, and the town hall workshop is not part of the motion, but that's something else that will come out of that also. But I do have that motion to table until the July meeting. Do I have a second for that motion? If anybody wants to amend the motion to include what Vice Mayor Urban says, you can amend the motion also. But right now, I do have the motion, the original motion, to table until the July meeting. And do I have a second for that motion? Motion made by Councilperson Martin. Councilperson Lightfoot Ward, is there anything you want to say before we vote on this motion?
No, Mayor.
Okay.
No, I'm sorry if I may, Mayor. So we weren't, like I said, we were discussing the fees and all of that. It's not something that we said in, I thought we weren't setting that today anyway. So if we need to table to get more clarification and to bring in the, the possibilities of us contracting an outside a vendor to actually help us with administration and all of that, that's the best bet, right? Manager?
Yes, absolutely. When I was doing this dive and asking other managers about their fees, and everybody's got different things, so I do understand it's confusing. It's confusing for me as well. But I think if we can at least get the application fee, the renewal fee, and then work it out at a round table, I think that is the best opportunity for everyone to have a piece of it and to understand how the sausage will be made. I also agree that we need to have an external entity manage this in conjunction with the village, as we do with our lien searches. It's I don't know what it will cost, so I will have to do some research, but I'll bring that to the roundtable discussion as well. I think that's critical because, again, we don't even have staff to put these into an Excel spreadsheet. So we will need some extra resources just to get us to that point where we're able to, have something that's very transparent. And again, these are transparent processes. That's why I provided you all these emails, because I want you to see what other people are charging. But we can certainly do a deeper dive together and kind of iron out what things will cost and what services will require to enforce this.
Thank you, Madam Manager. No, everything that we do is transparent. That's why we're doing it here at a public meeting. But what I did want to say, though, Councilperson Perella, was, so the original, this was the thing. The original plan was tonight to try to see what kind of fee structure that we want to come up with, because even if we just got into the ballpark, because at the end of the day, that fee structure, what I would have to do is then put together the resolution to be voted on in July, because that fee structure still would have to probably be voted through resolution, maybe, And so that was that. But the reason why it was kind of like, I wanted to kind of get this thing kind of through, and it's okay if we're going to table. It's not a problem. Doesn't hurt anything. Was because if it was going to go into effect within the 90-day period, then I wanted to be able to get the information so that I could get the information out to all the residents through paperwork so that they knew exactly when it was going to affect. I was going to have the ordinance as part of that paperwork so they saw exactly what was going into effect, and then the fees that were going to go into effect. But as Attorney Geller said, if the fee schedule was not done, which I just learned, if the fee schedule is not done, then the ordinance is kind of unenforceable, then that kind of like, that kills what my plan was anyway. So that's okay. That allows me to do what I need to do with my plan.
Okay, I have one final comment then, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll start the timer. So there's the business of government, right? And then there's the argument about whether or not government is a business. Okay, so government seems to be a business, but it is a not-for-profit business. Okay, so I don't personally see that the fees should really have anything directly or as a ratio attached to whatever we think that the cost of this is going to be. And we do actually have departments in place. We have a police department, which we are in the process of bolstering actively. We have a code enforcement department, and yes, it is up to us to make sure that the code enforcement department is operating efficiently and productively, but we do have a code enforcement department. So we do have the infrastructure in place already to be dealing with this. So earlier I kind of calculated, okay, code enforcement or whoever an inspector might be, going in to inspect the internal aspects of these things, and then submitting the report and sitting down, I figured 3 hours times $50 an hour, $150, arbitrarily pulled it out, right? Then I took what I estimated to be about 2 weeks worth of the manager's salary and divided that by 5% of the estimated number of homes in the village, thinking that there might be 5% of people in the village engaged in short-term rentals, and that gave me like $113. So in my mind, a little while ago, I was at $350 for an initial application fee. I think that is probably too high. Again, if we want to solve the problem of the two-tier application fee of the large entities and the people operating, homesteaded properties, then I think a small application fee solves that problem. And so now I think as more of a permanent fee structure, I'm probably sitting somewhere closer to a $100 initial application fee and a $75 renewal fee. And the idea, again, being that it's not punitive so that people don't feel like they need to find a reason not to register with the village, and understanding that we already do have departments in place. And yes, we'll have a line item dedicated to the short-term rental application fee. I shouldn't say obviously or assume anything, but I definitely agree that a dedicated line item is the transparency solution for understanding where are these fees going and how they might be used. So I think that's my time, but there you go.
Mayor?
Thank you very much.
Mayor?
Yes.
It was unclear from Councilman Perella's comments whether he was intending to provide a second. He kind of sounded like he did, but.
Well, I was going to ask for that right now. So, do I have a second for the motion to table till July?
Yes.
All right. Have a motion. Have a second, Madam Manager Dublin as Madam Clerk. May I please have a? Actually, it's just for a table. No, actually, this is important. Let's do a roll call.
Okay. Motion to table tonight's short-term rental fee list and directory to the July council meeting. Councilperson Martin.
Yes.
Councilperson Perella.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Urbom.
Yes.
And Mayor Nickerson.
Yes.
Okay, the item passes 4-0.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. All right, you guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So what we, as a matter of fact, Councilperson Martin, as far as a town hall, are you thinking more of like a weeknight or like a Saturday morning? What are you thinking?
A Saturday morning gets us more attendance, more involvement, but I don't know what the Saturdays look like going out. I know next Saturday is a big one where people are traveling. It's summertime. Like, I don't know. I think this is a group one. I would probably do a Saturday morning.
Yeah, Saturday morning? Okay. All right. So what we'll do, we'll see what Saturday morning we can at least, Councilperson Martin works best for you, and then we'll go from there, okay? And we'll fix it all up. We'll fix everything up. Do you want it to be in person, or do you want it to be virtual through Zoom?
Can we do both?
We can.
I think there's something about being in person and just kind of like hashing it out, right?
Yeah.
Also, I think it gets the people that are really vested and kind of want to be heard. I think it makes everyone feel a little bit more engaged in the process. But also, if someone is in Councilwoman Ward's situation and there's some sort of illness or mobility issues, a Zoom option would be nice. Can we do a hybrid?
All right, so there's two things. Okay, so I think that, well, first of all, if we do a hybrid, it's money, but you know,
Okay.
if we do
Well,
it
let's not do a hybrid.
Yeah.
I'll just call everybody on Zoom.
if we do it, this is the thing. If we do it in person, then you know, it doesn't cost anything. We just come, we do this in person. If we do just straight Zoom, it's a low cost.
Uh-huh.
You know, if we do hybrid to where they have to show up and then film us and then do it through hybrid, then it's different.
So can we do this? Can we have an in-person, and then we just email out that Zoom link, and someone's in the front with their computer, and just whoever wants to click into the Zoom link can hear everything
Just
that's
can hear everything
happening.
that's going on. Yeah, we can
And
do
someone that's kind of checking on the computer to see what their comments are.
All right, we can
I
do
just
that.
want to give everybody a chance.
Absolutely,
chime
absolutely.
in.
And there's no
Absolutely.
legal impediment to that, Mayor, because since you're not voting at a meeting, it's just a workshop meeting, there are no votes being taken, so there's definitely no problem with hearing anybody in any fashion you want to hear.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, so that'll be that. Do we, and this we might have to do hybrid, but do we want this meeting to be public record as far as recording and kept on the village website? Because then they have to come. And if that's the case, then we should do hybrid then. Let's just for this, yeah, thank you very much, Attorney Getter. For this case, let's, since it's so important, let's do hybrid and just pay the cost, because it's better that if it's going to be recorded, we need them there, and then we'll need them, we'll need two of them, which is the extra cost, because then we'll have to do the hybrid, how we used to do our meetings.
Yeah.
We'll just come here on a Saturday morning and do our meetings. And
Okay.
do like a meeting, but it'll be a workshop more to be more casual type of thing. Yep.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right, so we'll get to that. We'll get the date down, Madam Manager, and then we'll go from there. All right, thank you very much, you guys. Yeah, you can come up and say something before I close this out.
Sorry, I'll be brief. Pascal DePool again, 177 Northwest 90th. You guys can probably recite that by heart. Yeah. There's a couple things in the ordinance that are really hard for us to understand as owners, because especially the tax receipt for Miami if required, or the fire inspection if applicable. So if we're doing the workshop, if those can get clarified too, so that we can know what we need to provide for the application in terms of documentation, because I know that the ordinance says an incomplete application will not be accepted. So I'd love to, if we're doing a workshop anyway, which I would have loved to have how this ordinance started in the first place, not just the fee structure, but if we can have some of that clarification by then as well for us, so that we don't sit here and scramble now that we're putting the fee structure off another month to try to comply with this, that'd be great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody else before I close this section?
If I could.
Oh, yes.
So one, I just want to say that the primary reason that we were not able to just start with our ideal ordinance and go from there was because of essential limitations. So we had to start within those limitations, and that was really the impetus to go out and see what other municipalities who have tried to take on that limit and who have done so successfully without, being sued, or, we don't want to do all of this just to have the ordinance disappear because it won't stand up to, a lawsuit, litigation, things like this. So that was really the reason we found ourselves kind of working within other people's parameters, was largely what came out of Tallahassee. I am excited about being able to do this fee structure from an ideal place for the village first, and then doing the comparisons. I certainly agree with you on that. And then as far as the dates go, so the weekend of the 4th coming up, if you wanted 2 weeks to give people time, then you're either the Saturday the 16th or the 23rd. My recommendation would be the 23rd, which would just be about 4 days before that July council meeting, so everything would then again still be fresh. The manager would have the maximum amount of time to prepare, because I do think that a little application tutorial, or the ability to kind of, for residents to be able to kind of vet the full application process and not only discuss the fee at that town hall round table, whatever we're calling it, would be would be incredibly helpful. So my vote would be for the Saturday, the 23rd. And I do think that the 16th and 23rd are the only two options, because the 9th does not really give us adequate time to prepare coming off of the 4th, the 3-day weekend.
Yeah, the 16th, I'll have to go to a resident's baby shower, and then after that, I'm on a plane to Egypt on the 16th. So the 23rd works best for me. Does the 23rd work for you?
23rd is fine for me.
It works for you?
Yeah.
Councilperson Perella? Yeah. Councilperson Lightfoot Ward, July 23rd, Saturday, July 23rd, are you open that morning?
Isn't that July 23rd? Yes, that's fine.
Okay, thank you. How you guys out there? Pascal, JR, 23rd? All right, so tentatively, we'll just say right now the 23rd, you guys. What time, Councilperson Martin, are we doing? What time you guys want to wake up? 10 a.m., 11 a.m.? Look, I had a couple laughs there.
I have 2 small kids. I'm up at 6 a.m. So anything after that.
I mean, you guys don't want to put it in the middle of your day, because then it kind of like takes away from your day. So you want to like kind of get it over with, so then you can go on with the rest of your day, you know? So you guys want to start 10:30? 11 a.m.? 11 a.m.?
10 a.m. is good.
10 a.m.? Okay. So 10 a.m.,
About 10
July
a.m.
23rd, Saturday, you guys, all right?
You work at 9.
What we'll do, we'll make a flyer, Madam Manager. I'll hang the flyer on everybody's door. You guys know my plastic door hangers. There you go. No problem. All right, so we have that. Thank you very much, you guys. We're good with that? We're good with this?
I have a question, though.
Yes.
I didn't understand, the Vice Mayor was directing me to have something
I don't know.
prepared for this?
Well, just to the residents' comment about if we're all going to be there meeting about these application fees, it would not be a bad idea to have the ability to answer, FAQs about the application process that's in the ordinance. So I certainly don't want to confuse the matter and do 2 topics at the town hall. But I was just thinking of something even like a FAQ sheet on some of the details of the application itself. That's all. Yeah.
Okay. All right, anybody else? We're good with this section, with this item? Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, you guys. Appreciate it. Moving on to H2, 8:30. Let's table this till the next meeting. Do I have a motion to table H2 to Elper Tile 85th anniversary? All right. Motion moved by Councilperson Perella. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Vice Mayor Erbaum. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Hearing no nays. We're going to table the Elper Tile 85th anniversary till the July meeting. Councilperson Lightfoot Ward, part of the reason why we're going to table that is because of you and Clerk Jacoby. I want you guys to be here and be part of that discussion, all right?
Very good. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you. All right, moving right along, Madam Manager. You want to just say a couple just highlights about your report?
Yeah, it's going to be very high and light.
Thank you very
Okay.
much.
It's on the village website, and I encourage you all to take a look whenever you have an opportunity. But I do want to bring a little highlight to the Summer Safety Bike Parade and Farm Share that is being prepared by our El Portal Police Department on Thursday, July 7th at the Horace Mann Middle School. It's a little bike safety demonstration as well as food giveaway from Farm Share. So if you're able to stop by, and it's from 9 to noon. Bring your kids or tell some kids, but it'll be an opportunity to just get some safety tips and show residents and the students ways to share the road and be safe about that. We have a lot happening in El Portal, so much money coming in and so much money, that is not taxpayer funds, but a lot of grants have been coming our way. We've done really well. We received a Resilient Florida grant that gets us $900,000 that we can put into only the El Jardín project, but that's phase 2. So I know those of you who are on the southern border of the village will see another phase go into the works. Government can be slow, but we're hopeful that we can get an outfall for the new stormwater improvement in the El Jardín community so that we can address more flooding. So we're still at the grindstone looking for more funding through resiliency grants and infrastructure grants, but we are getting them, and that's really, really great. So we have 2 other big grants we're going for. We're hopeful that we'll get them, so stay tuned. And that'll be all for now, but please check our website or call me if you have any questions about what's happening in the village. Thank you.
Absolutely. I'm going to keep this really short. I had a meeting today with Councilwoman Frederica Wilson, the Secretary of HUD, Housing and Urban Development, Secretary Fudge, Mayor Levine Cava, and we had a meeting today with Chief Jim Murley from the Resiliency, from the County Resiliency Office. It was all about El Portal. Really trying to bring in that funding, Madam Manager, to complete all the septic to sewer. Remember we did that thing back in January that a lot of people don't even know about. I get calls all the time about, they're like, Mayor, what are you doing about septic sewer? I'm like, you didn't see in January when myself and the village manager, we were there and we kind of got onto that agreement. Hopefully, they keep their end of the bargain, Madam Manager, but with them, hopefully, within 10 years, it's supposed to move to us, and we're supposed to be done in 10 years. But we don't stop there. What we do is, and everybody who's I've spoken to, you guys know this. What we do is, we try to get funding from everywhere for the same projects, so that if there's some funding that comes in sooner than this other funding that we already have, we can get it done quicker. And so that meeting today was part of that. And it was a long meeting. I met with them where we started at 3:55, and I didn't get out of there until about 5:30. And came here. So there's a lot of money, you guys, that's out there, and we're just trying to get it for these things. And this is the thing, and I always talk about this, that we've got an unprecedented amount of funding in El Portal, right? And we brought in more funding than ever before in the history of El Portal since I became mayor. And the thing about it is with that is that all this funding we're getting in is earmarked for certain things, Madam Manager. So we might get, for example, we had $500,000 we already got for the El Jardín flooding. Now we got $900,000 more dollars. I wish that $900,000 could go to like Sherwood Forest. But we asked for the village as a whole, and then we asked for all the little parts of the village, and then whatever they approve is what they approve. And then the next year we'll ask for whatever wasn't approved this past year. So we're gonna continue to get in record number funding. You guys saw, if you guys follow Village El Portal on Instagram, the sand has arrived. So you guys will start to see that. You'll start to get your sandbags. I'm gonna be packing the sand. The sand was dropped off earlier in the week. I'm gonna be packing your sandbags, dropping them off at your house in the upcoming week and a half, 2 weeks. So that'll be coming. I'm starting every house off with about 7 sandbags. And then after I get every house with about 7 sandbags, then I'll double back and give the houses that want more, okay? So we're gonna do that. I'm starting with the areas that are the most flood-prone areas first, getting those out of the way, and then moving to the least flood-prone areas, all right? So we have that done, so that's a good thing. Besides that, Madam Manager, I think everything else is pretty much set in stone, and I don't think there's anything that's really more important. We have the resiliency grant in July we're going for, which is millions of dollars also, and that's coming up, so we have that also. Besides that, Madam Manager, I think we're pretty good. We just got to continue just to move forward on everything. So you guys saw the new marquee. The digital marquee is going to be lighting up. We're waiting for the infrastructure of the broadband wiring so that we can hook it to my computer so I can change it at any time. But that should be done within the next couple of days. But the new marquee, you guys, digital marquee, no taxpayer dollars. Nothing we've done, no taxpayer dollars, Madam Manager. Thank you very much. Attorney Geller, you have anything for us?
No one has sued us, and we have sued no one. That concludes my report.
Thank you very much, Attorney Geller. Last good and well for anything. Anybody wants to come up and say anything about anything at all? You guys can come up and say anything about anything at all. Name and address for the record. Hearing none, moving on. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion moved by Vice Mayor Erbaum. Second.
Second.
To thank the brownie guys.
Oh, stand up and take a bow, my brothers. Appreciate that. You go. We can't eat all that, so please, everybody, before you leave, please come get a brownie. Please come get a brownie. Thank you very much. Have a motion. Had a second, right? Who's second?
Yeah, I second.
All right, second by Councilperson Martin. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Appreciate it. All opposed, say nay. Hearing none. The regular council meeting for June 28, 2022 is adjourned at 8:35 p.m. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Councilperson Ward.